Hello everyone, this is Crustalmania and welcome back to another video. This is going to be the 6th card from the 10 cards that I bought on TCG Player, and the context for this is basically I saw an eBay lot that I was potentially going to buy for vintage cards on eBay for 9 cards from a seller I bought the damaged cards from last time, the 4 card damaged cards, but they were charging quite a bit for those cards, so I decided to look up the prices on TCG Player and realized that the prices on TCG Player seem to be half the value for the cost of the eBay lot of vintage cards for the same conditioning. So I decided to give TCG Player a try for the first time, and I bought from all different sellers, and there was only one seller that had pictures on the listing that I purchased. The rest of them were no pictures at all, the normal TCG Player way. So now I'm kind of seeing what exactly I got from TCG Player in terms of like conditioning, how the card's gonna come, how the packaging is, in terms of everything like that. This is a more traditional standard plain white envelope that you would get from TCG Player in terms of a card being shipped to you. But I would say 4 out of 5 so far have included packing slips with the cards, so that is pretty nice in that effect, as some of the eBay sellers I've purchased from in the past have not included packing slips with what I purchased, so very different there in terms of what you're paying for and what you are going to get. So that is interesting to note, but this is the envelope that the card arrived in. After that first envelope where I cut into the packing slip, I have been feeling a bit more kind of where the paper is, or if there's a top loader or where to kind of rip into or potentially cut into. Luckily, all these plain white envelopes have been pretty easy to just easily rip into, so it's been a lot easier there. And this is another card that included a packing slip. Wow, so that is now 5 out of 6 cards that included packing slips. So basically a lot of these cards were taped to the paperwork, so a lot of times I will move these cards and the paperwork off screen depending on if it's taped or not. So in this instance, I believe that the card is potentially taped, so I moved it off screen to kind of get the top loader off of the paper. And this card again was packaged, it was taped to the packing slip, but this one had the scotch tape on the top, which it's not my most favorite method, as you've probably heard within these last videos, but it is what it is. The card didn't slide out, but it is a bit tricky to cut the scotch tape open just because I need a box cutter to do it, and luckily the card was further down. But this is the Mewtwo from base set. I got another one. This one's in heavy play condition. Honestly, just by looking at it in the top loader, the conditioning seems really good for this card. I mean, I'm impressed with how it looks pretty spotless for a heavily played card. Now it's still in the top loader, so we're not really getting into it, but we're seeing from like a far view, it looks pretty good. But there obviously are heavy play elements to it. There are spots on there. There is a little bit of a dent, but it's not too bad for the most part on the bottom. And there's obvious whitening on the edges, and I don't remember if there are any scratches, like major scratches, but for the most part, this is a very clean Mewtwo that's in heavily played condition. I don't know, like this has less scratches on the holo foil than some of the other cards like that were heavily played. So there is a little bit of damage on the bottom there, as you can see, lifts up a little bit, and there is some obvious whitening, but for the most part, and there's maybe a spot there, but for the most part, this is a pretty clean card. I mean, if this was going into someone's binder, you honestly couldn't really tell what conditioning this was in because it's pretty clean. Especially if it's in a sleeve, you wouldn't be able to tell. And like the centering of this card is pretty good. Like I am impressed with how great the centering is on this card. Like that is pretty amazing, to be quite honest with you. Like, wow, that is some pretty good centering right there. So This is a card I got last time in the eBay lot in a damaged condition. So this one's a little bit better than damaged condition. So it will be interesting to see how the other one compares to this one. But the hollow foiling pattern is really cool. It kind of is almost like a spiral behind Mewtwo. But overall, really impressed with how this card came to me. Not in terms of like how it's packaged. The package is pretty normal. Other than the Scotch tape, it was not. That's not my favorite thing, but that's just a personal preference. But packaging wise, pretty standard to TCG player value. But card conditioning wise, this card is probably in the best condition out of all the cards I've gotten so far. I am really impressed by how there's no scratches on the hollow foil. There's some whitening, but not a lot of whitening. Just a little bit of damage on the bottom, maybe from a binder or something, or from a 3-ring, one of the rings on the 3-ring binder. But for the most part, this Mewtwo's in really great shape. I mean, this is kind of a more expensive, heavily played card, so it kind of made sense. But at the same time, like, this was not what I expected for a heavily played card. I mean, I was like, wow. I was pretty shocked opening this and was like, whoa, this is heavily played. You could get away with maybe moderately played with this card. But you know, I appreciate that they said that this was heavily played, just because better be safer than sorry in terms of conditioning. But I do like that hollow foil pattern in the back. You see the lines there. Seems like he's in a spiral, psychic spiral or something, or in his castle from the Mewtwo Pokemon 2000, the first movie. So really cool there. Nice to have another base set Mewtwo, and this one is in a lot better condition than I thought for a heavily played card. Man, that is pretty impressive. So nice to have a good surprise there. So anyways, I hope you guys like this video. I believe this is card number 6 out of 10. So we will see what the other cards will be like. But anyways, I hope you guys like this video. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.